He should have died in the first 5 seconds, but somehow he walked out of a Mongol arrow storm alive.
People don't understand what a Mongol arrow storm really was. It wasn't a battle. It wasn't a fight. It was a death sentence hurled from the sky. And in the middle of one of the worst storms ever recorded stood a single foot soldier named Batujin. He wasn't a general. He wasn't a hero. He was just a young man who wanted to go home. But home doesn't help you when 10,000 bows rise at the same time. Therefore, when the commander screamed, "Shields up!" Batujin lifted his wooden shield, hands shaking so hard he could barely hold it. The Mongols released, and the sky went dark. You've heard people exaggerate that phrase before, but this time it was literal. Thousands of arrows erased the sun in a single breath. Batujin felt the first impact like a hammer to the arm, then another and another, each arrow pounding against his shield so violently that splinters tore into his skin. But here's the thing, he didn't hide. Most soldiers curled up behind their shields. They crouched, they prayed. Batujin didn't. He stood upright, not because he was brave, but because fear had frozen him into a statue. Therefore, he became the one thing Mongol archers hated most, a still target they couldn't kill. Their arrows hit his shield and lodged into it so densely that by the end of the first volley, his shield had become a wall of feathers and iron, a shield thicker than a tree trunk. The second volley came, but something strange happened. The arrows meant for his chest hit the arrows already sticking out of his shield. They bounced, they deflected, they slid off at angles the Mongols hadn't calculated. Therefore, Batujin was still standing when the third volley fell. His shield was now so heavy that lifting it was impossible. So he didn't lift it. He just let it lean against him like a door protecting a single flickering candle. His soldiers beside him, gone. Some ran, some fell, some were pinned to the ground like broken dolls. But Batujin, he stayed. Not because he wanted to, but because he couldn't move under the weight of 1,000 arrows that somehow protected him. When the Mongols finally charged, they expected to see a field of bodies. Instead, they saw Batujin, a lone figure, standing behind a shield that looked less like wood and more like a porcupine built by Death himself. The Mongol riders slowed, and for the first time that day they hesitated, not because he was dangerous, but because he was impossible. A man who should have died 10 times, still breathing, still standing, still alive. Therefore, one of their commanders rode up, looked at this human miracle, and simply said, "Let him go." And they did. Not out of mercy, but out of superstition. A man who survives a storm from the sky, you don't kill him, you don't touch him, you don't curse yourself by ending a spirit like that. So Batujin walked away, dragging that monster's shield behind him, leaving a trail in the dirt that his people would talk about for years.
If you want more stories like this, like and subscribe. It tells the algorithm people want this content.